to talk a little bit about the ministry. My name's Matt Gallagher. My wife Lori and I have been attending First MD for the last 18 years. Last August we celebrated our 25th anniversary, and we love being married, and we're so excited about this ministry. What Brent described is exactly right. We've been looking for ways to plug in. We always have a passion for trying to see where people connect and how these relationships work. And it's interesting, in all the places that we've plugged in church, we've worked with kids, we've worked with youth, and especially when we give them parenting classes or things like that, what we see is, as parents and as the marriage in the home, we have the most influence on what goes on. Somebody said it takes half your life to figure out who you are and how you work, what motivates you, and I think even more complicated to figure out how to live with somebody. I don't know if these similarities are true for you, but the first month of marriage or the first times being together and sharing life and bumping into each other different places of the house, we're like, who's this person in my bed? This is hugely disruptive. Or it's great. But either way, it's an adventure, and we are so excited to be a part of this, and when we thought about this coming together, we're excited to see how God can use this. Our goal is to be a support and a resource and create opportunities for you guys to learn how to share life together. We are unapologetically committed to focus on marriages in a way that we don't do in any other place. To resource you when it comes to how to communicate together, how to go through different challenges in life. One author in his franchise of describing different things in life, sacred, he talks about sacred marriage, and it really struck me where he said, have you ever thought that maybe God didn't give us marriage to make us happy, but he gave us marriage to teach us that it's not really about us? And then you really have to share life with somebody else. And that kicks up to a whole other level when you bring kids into the equation, right? Really not about us. But as we work through this, we've identified 4 core areas where we want to support you guys. And that's what you'll see coming up now. The first and most important thing, we want to provide community. We want to provide a chance for you guys to connect with each other and just simply opportunities. It's interesting, we're all wired differently and we all connect in different ways. Some of us can't wait to be around a bunch of people and we just feed off of that energy. Some of us can't wait to leave that bunch of people and start replenishing our energy. But what's interesting is those of us who want to be alone really just want to be left alone. And we want opportunities to connect. And so one of the things we hope to do is in this community of faith, because God didn't design us to live life alone. In this community of faith, the hope is that you can share ideas with other people and recognize as many different possibilities that hopefully are validating or give you new ideas. You've seen that in so many different ways where many people together come up with better ideas than what we think of on our own. So hopefully that's just supportive and normalizing that you're not alone. Oh, you guys say that too? Oh, you do that too? It's even fun to watch these things where you will never quit learning about each other your whole life. And that's one of the truths that I've seen. That old couple sitting together, patting each other's knee, that are just confident, it's because they've gone through these kind of things thousands of times, and they're just not shocked anymore. Yeah, he does that. He'll get over it. Stuff like that. So, building community, we want everyone to be able to connect together. The next one is to share joy. You've probably heard Brent describe this or read this somewhere else, but there's a difference between joy and happiness. And trying to have a sense of humor and finding the joy in things, it's interesting, it uses a different part of our brain when we... Okay, so part of what I do in my day job, I'm a therapist in private practice, so I hear stories from couples and families, and I'm not going to subject you to that. But I always get relieved when I see couples make a joke because I think, oh good, we're in our happy place again. You can't make a joke when you're upset. It's literally impossible. So you use a different part of the brain, and it welcomes us together when we can start having a sense of humor. What's interesting is you can cultivate that attitude and you can find joy. I think, does anybody else think sometimes we take ourselves too seriously? Kind of like, just get over it. I know I made a mistake, and tomorrow's going to be better. Will you forgive me? That kind of stuff. So finding joy in these little stumbles in life and having some grace that we extend not just to each other, but also to ourselves. Have fun with it. Kind of like with our kids, kind of like as we learn who we are. It's not that serious. Have fun. The third area, some of you probably heard about the study entitled Love and Respect. What's interesting, we're all motivated in different ways, and you can't really boil that down to men, women, things like that, because even though most men might act one way or another, you can have stereotypes, there's still going to be outliers. Some of us feel differently. Same thing with women. They might think differently. And what's interesting and critically important is if we can accept each other and most importantly ourselves. You heard that cliche before? You can't really love other people until you love yourself. When you really recognize and give yourself a break, like, oh yeah, I do that, don't I? Then you're not defensive. There's nothing to defend. Oh yeah, I do that. It was kind of a lot there, wasn't it? Sorry. So when you can be gentle with yourself and you can love and respect yourself, you're easier to get along with, guaranteed. That extends obviously to our spouse. Somebody said, we like people for their strengths, we love them for their faults. Like, oh yeah, she always does that, and I love that, except when I hate it. But we love those things that make our spouse unique. So being able to love them and respect them for who they are, and that's hopefully the point of grace that we can live in. Kind of like, I hate it when you do that. Come here, I love you. The last core value that we want to try and emphasize, and most importantly, this is sort of the foundation, prioritize God. What's interesting is it's easy to talk about intimacy when it comes to physical, or maybe it's not, maybe that weirds everybody out, but emotional intimacy and spiritual intimacy, praying together, when you use phrases like, I love, I need, I'm afraid that ties you together. So sharing faith and prioritizing your faith, that was probably in a lot of people's vows. Cord of three strands, the idea that God brought us together. So we want to help couples learn how to grow their faith together, because that is a much broader foundation than whether or not we like each other, whether or not we like the same shows, movies, whatever, because we run out of shows. And then kids come, and they invade every area that we used to love. They're the most wonderful disruption to our lives, aren't they? So the idea is that we prioritize a faith that transcends all the other challenges and that provides that stability that we stand on. And we want to help support couples with that. So, community, finding joy in the things that challenge us beyond what's just easy to love, loving and respecting each other for who we are, and then learning to practice faith together, praying together, bringing it into our home, actually living that out. That's what we want this to be, sort of a low-pressure, easy way to engage, to connect, to make it a safe place to ask questions, too. Hey, do you guys do this? Are you struggling with that? Yeah. Because chances are we all are, or have. So that's one of the things that we're really excited about, to try and give you every advantage to learn lessons quicker than just having to figure it out the hard way. But some of you insist on that, and we're good with that, too. So, Matt Gallagher, I'm glad to be a part of this, and we're excited for what this will be. Thank you.